It has been described as a Watergate Part 2.
Very sad day, I think, in the history of this committee.
Where are the Democrats on this? I thought this was the party of civil liberty.
It is here. President Trump will deliver his first State of the Union address tonight.
I think you're going to hear the kind of speech most presidents hope they can give, wish they could give, which is, we're doing well. I'm looking forward to hearing what he's going to talk about for this year.
Live from 101 Constitution, overlooking the U.S. Capitol. This is Fox and Friends live from the mall for the State of the Union. Happens tonight, 9 p.m. Welcome, folks, to Washington, D.C., where it is 38 degrees and snowing.
Right, and we're on the roof. And we're on the roof. And by the way, we're here first, so if anyone who wants to come up and take the roof over, we called it. So
Martha was here last night.
Who was?
Martha?
No, I mean, she's part of our team. So that's okay. Yeah. Some of the other news organizations.
Now listen, while you're looking at us, here's the important thing to know. While we are cold, some member of the crew actually came up with the idea. They have installed heating pads on our chairs.
They love us
it's
so
brilliant.
Much. Thank you all. Thank you all. It is great to be back in D.C. We spent a lot of time here during the election, and now we're back for the president's first State of the Union address. Right. And the shortest speech was given by George Washington, short as in words. It was a little more than 1,000 words. And the president tonight, he's going to have some visitors with him. Ronald Reagan was the first to invite people to sit with him, to sit with Nancy Reagan, and he addressed them, allowed those guests to stand up. Yep. The president's going to do the same thing today. He's got some families who lost their loved ones to MS-13. He'll talk about border security there. He also has some wounded warriors that are going to be in the audience.
Some of the Democrats are going to bring Dreamers as their guests. What's interesting, though, there's one Republican, I believe, from the great state of New York. He has invited a contractor who got the contract to build one of the prototype pieces of the wall. So you're going to have in the audience, up in the gallery, you're going to have people of all sorts of political persuasion.
Right, so it's going to be interesting, too. The president, at the end of this week, is going to be going to San Diego to see the different prototypes. If the president wants to get excited, everyone's got their hot buttons. You show the president a construction site, and you tell him about putting things in, coming in under budget. He's going to be looking at that, and I'm sure he's going to have some great insight into building the wall. He wants $24 billion to do it. Meanwhile, we want to know what you want to hear tonight in the president's, what is supposed to be a bipartisan address to bring us all together, but we want to know what you want to hear, so make sure you tweet us or email us.
Maybe what's in that memo, many would say. So the memo, they voted last night, House Intel Committee voted last night at 5 o'clock to release that memo. So you will be seeing what's in that memo as long as the president sends it on. It's on his desk right now. He has 5 days to review it, and then it should be released to the public.
Well, and he wants it to be released because he feels that it shows bias and political animus at the FBI. And we know from what happened with Chris Wray yesterday, essentially removing Andrew McCabe, which we'll talk about in a moment, it looks like there is something going on at the FBI that resembles house cleaning.
All right, so this is what they're saying. It is KGB-like, says one lawmaker. It's 4 pages long. It was called Shocking and Disturbing. It reveals the role an anti-Trump dossier played in the FISA warrants that resulted in the unmasking. And it looks like the FBI relationship with Christopher Steele. The question that is not answered is Christopher Steele, who's hired by Fusion GPS to go into Russia and look around and talk about any Trump links. He's British. The question is, did Christopher Steele intentionally or unintentionally give the FBI information? That is not revealed in the context of this 4-page memo.
Apparently, it is not conclusive that that did happen, but nonetheless, people are saying, oh, look, that was the FISA thing. The Oppo research was used to get a FISA application to spy on Carter Page, and that opened the door to spy on everybody in Trump camp.
There's so many questions here. Everyone just wants to know the truth, and they want to make sure that people didn't use their political influence, their political power to change the direction of this election, or at least try to. Now, the Democrats, they're upset about this memo being released. You have Congressman Adam Schiff. He's the top Democrat on that committee that voted yesterday, the House Intel Committee, and he called it a very sad day. Listen.
It is a sad day indeed when that is also true of our own committee, because today this committee voted to put the president's personal interest, perhaps their own political interest, above the national interest, in denying themselves even the ability to hear from the department and the FBI. And that is, I think, a deeply regrettable state of affairs. But it does show how, in my view, when you have a deeply flawed person in the Oval Office, that flaw can infect the whole of government. And today, tragically, it infected our committee.
Right, tragically, or he just doesn't want it to get out. Christopher Wray saw it Sunday and said, go ahead, release it. Nancy Pelosi says the Republicans have made up a memo that isn't even true, and they are lying to the American people. What's not clear is did Nancy Pelosi even see the memo herself?
I don't think she did, but so what they did was somebody did on the Democratic side, and they wrote their own 10-page rebuttal, and they had a vote yesterday after the Republicans voted to release their 4-page memo, and because it was a party line thing, the Democratic memo, the rebuttal memo, will not be released. Meanwhile, Brian just mentioned Andrew McCabe, and we were talking earlier about the new FBI head, Mr. Wray. On Sunday, in a room at the U.S. Capitol, Mr. Wray got permission from the House of Representatives, somebody high up, to go in and look at the 4-page memo. And he read it a couple of times on Sunday in what is known as the SCIF, the secret room. You can't take notes or pictures or anything like that. He left, and then yesterday when he got to work, what did he do to Andrew McCabe? According to Fox News, he removed him from the job. Was it something that he read in that particular memo? We don't know. However, the Washington Post is reporting this morning that apparently they did discuss the findings of the Inspector General's internal probe, and Mr. McCabe's handling of Hillary Clinton email didn't like it. And so that man in the middle in the striped tie is out at the Department of Justice right now. He's been removed from his job.
Yeah, he's on terminal leave, and they just doesn't know exactly why. One thing is clear. Chris Wray says, listen, I'm forming my own team. You're not going to be on it. You're retiring in a few months. Right. Why don't you go to the Bahamas?
Right. Sarah Carter, who is an investigative reporter, she's also a Fox News contributor. She talks about how fishy it looks or how interesting it is that Mr. Wray reads the memo, the head of the FBI, one day, and the next day, this guy is out. Listen.
Tonight is that FBI Director Christopher Wray went Sunday and reviewed the 4-page FISA memo. The very next day, Andrew McCabe was asked to resign. Remember, Sean, he was planning on resigning in March. That already came out in December. This time, they asked him to go right away. I have been told tonight by a number of sources right now that McCabe may have asked FBI agents to actually change their 302s. Those are the interviews with witnesses. So basically, every time an FBI agent interviews a witness, they have to go back and file a report. Obstruction of justice. This is something that the Inspector General is investigating. If that is the case, if this is true, and not just alleged, if this is true, McCabe will be fired.
Wow.
And that's the key. He would be fired. Keep in mind right now he's been removed. He's still getting paid. He was going to retire in March. Remember, the president sent out that tweet. But if it is true, what Sarah Carter just said regarding the 302 memos, you know, the summaries of the interviews with people, that is obstruction of justice, and that could be why the new director of the FBI, Mr. Wray, it looks like if he's not cleaning house, he's doing his best to restore the reputation of the greatest.
Before the memo is released.
Absolutely, the greatest law enforcement agency in the world.
James Comey and Eric Holder immediately tweeted out their support. That shows the divide. It shows the divide of the support for Andy McCabe and his service. 8 minutes after it was announced, they were out there talking. We don't know what's in the memo, but I'm just wondering if the name Comey's going to come up again and the previous administration is going to come front and center again. That's where we're heading. And hopefully our people that we put in office realize we're adult enough as American citizens to get to the truth
Brian,
quickly.
You feel like doing some exercising?
Yeah, I want to give everyone, even though it's a little dark, I want to give you an idea
Be careful.
of what a great job our staff did in setting this whole place up. Not only making the tent, setting up the heaters, and setting up
heating pads in the chairs.
Heating pads in the chairs, having the heat blast up here. Where is my camera? It's through there. Okay, here's the main set. We're leaving. Now, I'm going to a place that's kind of dark. This is called winter, and this is also called snow. Let's take a look over here, Rick. There's the Capitol building. And if the show goes bad, that's where I jump. Meanwhile, as we head outside, as Rick Smosky works the camera, this is going to be the long walk for our guests. This is when there is no heat. This is the Wild West. Wild animals could attack you. We don't know what's going to happen. Security has not been provided. It's too cold for them. We're going to go up the handmade steps, crafted in shop hours ago. And this is where, first off, these are the buckets filled with cement that keeps the tents upright. Outside, we're losing the mic. Right there is the crew. Actually, Sean can hear me. That is Jason Chaffetz interacting with people, act like a real newsman when we know he's actually a lawmaker. And now, this is the green room. The scrambled eggs, a crowd favorite. Heinz, in salute to the Kerry family. And of course, the bacon. This was once full. We're a big bacon show. And of course, we have David Brody here with the complimentary soft drinks still free. All of a sudden with the water here. David Brody, CBN, are you ready to come out and give us an idea of what's happening with the press corps and how they're going to treat the President of the State of the Union?
I am. I'm sure they'll treat him so fairly.
Right. So you know what? You got your coat. You got your tie. Let's go. And by the way, just from feeling David's upper body, I think he's got Under Armour or a thermal. Okay? So he's cheating. No eggs. They're just about gone. Over there, FBN.
Beautiful.
Over here is our place. And Stephen Ainsley, I'm bringing in David. Back to you.
Wonderful. Tell him to come on in. We're going to interview him coming up next. Thank you, Brian.
I had no idea they built those steps in the shop just about an hour ago. All right. It is 6:12 here in New York, here in Washington, D.C., and we're going to have the news shortly from New York.
That's right. One of the best seats in the House tonight is right behind the president, and that's where the Speaker, House Speaker Paul Ryan, will be. He gave us a tour of Capitol Hill.
I'm just a kid from a middle-income family from Janesville, Wisconsin. Who would have thought I would get elected to Congress, much less Speaker of the House.
Ever have any plans to run for president?
His answer on that coming up.
I want to hear that. Plus, of course, as Brian said, David Brody. He's right there. Come on, David. You're next on Fox and Friends.
David, here you go.
Good morning. President Trump is gearing up for his first State of the Union address in that building right behind us, and so is mainstream media. Former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer had some thoughts while on the program yesterday regarding
all these outlets have those little countdown clocks. After the president leaves the rostrum tomorrow night in the House of Representatives, you might as well put a countdown clock from 72 hours out, because somebody will dig something up from when he was like 8 years old about how he didn't clean his tray and try to take away the momentum from another great speech.
Or bring up Russia. So what can we expect of the biased media in many cases and the coverage tonight?
Well, here now to discuss is chief political correspondent for the Christian Broadcasting Network and host of CBN's Faith Nation on Wednesdays at 12:30, Mr. David Brody. Hey, David. So even if the president gives this perfect, wonderful speech, can we expect mainstream media and the Democrats to go negative?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet at this point, for sure. Look, I think... How many times are we going to hear 401k, that your 401k has gone up? Don't think that's happening. I'm waiting for the Russia Venn diagram that only the Big Bang Theory cast can figure out, because they've got all these cast of characters, and you know all of the graphics are going to be there. Look, they're going to talk about the sky is falling, that there is a cloud over this president.
Mainstream media.
Yeah, mainstream media for sure, and it's become so predictable at this point for sure.
Well, here's the thing: the numbers don't lie. The coverage of the president's first 60 days, first year in office, mostly negative. 62%, 33% said didn't see it as neither, and then most of it, only 5% is positive. But looking at the president tonight, I think what people like to do is take his good points and knock them down. For example, I noticed yesterday people were saying, well, the economy's not really that good. Unemployment's not that low. We didn't really add that many jobs. It's not really his economy. So if the things are overwhelming, they try to take the credit away.
Yeah, it's all qualified, which obviously just discounts it altogether. I will say this, that it'll be interesting to watch tonight, because they're going to talk a lot about teleprompter Trump instead of Twitter Trump. And then what's going to be attached to that, and here's the qualifier, oh, he's teleprompter Trump tonight, but this is not really who he is. And therefore, that's once again discounting him. They always do it every single time.
David, let me ask you this. The House Republicans last night voted to release the 4-page FISA memo. It could come out today. timing-wise, if it came out today, that would stomp all over the president's message.
Yeah, it would to a degree, and it'll be interesting to see what they do at all from a stealth perspective inside the speech, whether or not President Trump, he's not going to talk about that, obviously, but what will he do as it relates to maybe signals, a little bit of a code about how he's been undermined and how there's been a lot of issues that people have gone after him. It'll be interesting to see if he takes a stealth shot, if you will, tonight. I think that'll be interesting.
I bet.
Yeah, well, he is. The media likes to call him crazy, but I would say he's crazy like a fox, and I think there's a big difference.
Well, yeah, he's got immigration to talk about, he's got infrastructure to introduce, and he's got to push towards a solid DACA fix, and he can't do it alone, so he wants to bring Democrats in. Let's see if they're going to play ball.
That's it. Good to see you guys.
Thank you, David. Great to have you on.
All right, coming up straight ahead, Kellyanne Conway will be here live. Congressman Jim Jordan always brings it. How's his House Majority Whip Steve Scalise? Trey Gowdy live, and White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders will be here.
And protecting America will be a big part of the president's speech tonight. Our next guest company is one of the few that has been chosen to build that prototype of the border wall, and he's going to tell us what he hopes to hear on immigration. That's coming up next.
Good morning to you. We'll take you right back live on the grounds in D.C. in just a few moments. But first, a look at who to expect at tonight's State of the Union. 15 people, both heroes and everyday Americans, will be guests of the White House at tonight's address. Among them is Corporal Matthew Bradford, who lost his legs and sight when he stepped on an IED in Iraq and then re-enlisted. Ohio business owners Steve Staub and Sandy Keplinger will be there with employees Corey Adams. They say their company has prospered under the president. ICE agent and Air Force veteran C.J. Martinez will also be there. He is responsible for the arrests of more than 100 MS-13 members. And Evelyn Rodriguez will be in the audience. Her daughter was killed by the violent gang. She'll join us live in the next hour. Now back to D.C. Hey, Brian.
All right. Hey, Jillian, great job. 24 after the hour. The theme of the president's first State of the Union address will be building a safe and strong and proud America.
The president is looking to make good on one of the biggest campaign promises, building that border wall.
Here to tell us what he hopes to hear about the wall tonight is Tommy Fisher. Tommy is the president and CEO of Fisher Sand and Gravel, which was one of the companies selected to build a border wall prototype. Tommy, thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me.
President wants $24 billion to build a wall. How much do you need if he chooses you?
Well, we can get after it right away on the original budget. We've already put a proposal in for the first 700 miles at $10.77 billion, and that's every square inch of the border through the mountains and everywhere else to give complete protection. All of California, all of Arizona, and all of New Mexico, and then also another 100 miles in Texas as well, in Rio Grande.
Tommy, when you heard the president talk about how he wanted to build a wall, were you inspired? Were you listening out in North Dakota thinking to yourself, I can help him do that?
Yeah, I'm originally from North Dakota, but live in Arizona, and you bet. We've built a lot of heavy civil projects on the side of mountains that set history in the state of Nevada, no different in all the jobs we've done in Arizona and as well as New Mexico. So we understand the terrain and we can deliver that. And with that, we wanted to develop a patentized system to prove that one wall will do it all, so to speak. So the wall will work as levee protection in the Rio Grande. It'll work as border protection, but also our wall can be backfilled so you don't need to see through the wall. Our road was elevated on the backside of the wall, so the agents have an elevated view for advantage.
Oh, that's a good
different than
idea.
if we would look over right here, and you could see 20 miles looking in to anyone that would possibly want to breach or something.
Right.
You get the advantage. So that's what we can deliver for the president, is high-quality infrastructure, no D+, A+ infrastructure that will last the test of time, and our wall is the only one that's guaranteed for 150 years of lifespan.
Okay.
You know, special forces have gone down there to the border, and they have not been able to scale any of the walls, including yours. What makes yours so different than the others?
Our wall is built of just pure concrete and perfectly placed rebar, built with perfectly steel forms. On a border, when you're out in the environments in the desert, if you put steel by itself, eventually steel rusts. You can cut it right away. With our solid concrete, 30 inches thick at the bottom and tapering up, you're not going to breach. But then by placing a high-speed access road for the agent below and one on top, you can't even get close to the wall because they can do their security and cover so much more ground. So we go from a proactive approach, then a reactive, and they're patrol instead of observe and then react.
Right. Well, so as an American, if your wall isn't picked, and I know it'll bother you because you want to do it, obviously, are you still for any wall?
I am for border protection on the southern border for every single American, and we would support whichever way the government wanted.
Sure.
But hopefully they'll see when they look at our proposal, it's backed by a multi-billion-dollar bond, which really puts the proof in the pudding, so to speak.
Tommy, we heard Jillian a moment ago tell some of the names of some of the people who have been invited by lawmakers to be in the gallery for tonight's State of the Union. You were invited by one of the congressmen from South Dakota.
North Dakota.
North Dakota, that is to say. Thank you very much.
Congressman Kramer.
You know, there are going to be a bunch of dreamers in your general area. They might say, hey, you're the guy who's building the wall. I saw you on TV this morning. What would you say to them?
I would say we're an American, and we build great infrastructure projects, and if that's what's needed to provide southern border protection, we want to do it. But also, reach for your dreams. There's nothing wrong. My grandparents are immigrants, no different than probably all of us here. And you have the ability, because the difference of America is when you can provide protection as well as pride through basically patriotism and different things like that. That's why people want to be here. So we're an open family, but I think if people judge us, you can see we have all diversities that work in our country, but no one builds infrastructure better than we do.
And we'll have to see, because those they want to stay here, we'll find out if they get to stay here, if they can cut a deal. Thanks a lot. Tommy Fisher, good job, good luck. President's going down at the end of the week to check out all the prototypes himself. And of course, you want him to go the Fisher way.
Absolutely. If you go concrete, you get a 150-year lifespan, and I guarantee you when they see the high-speed access roads, we're going to make the agent.
He's closing it down. There he goes.
That's what we do.
All right.
It's Fox and Friends, not Shark Tank. Okay.
You should watch us build. You should watch us build if you think we can sell.
All right. Cuban wants in.
Thanks, Tommy. All right. Meanwhile, straight ahead, Hollywood elites not waiting for tonight. They held their own People's State of the Union last night.
We have come together. The need to remove him. That is, at this point, a moral imperative for each and every one of us.
More of those celebrity speeches coming up next.
That was Michael Moore, right? Plus, you've seen her do the weather. Now Janice Dean is giving you the weather in the White House. Right. She takes us on a tour through D.C. She broke the security barriers, got hair and makeup, and will reveal what she did yesterday.
One silver lining in Trump is that we have created the mother of all movements. We have come together.
The need to remove him. That is, at this point, a moral imperative for each and every one of us.
The Nazi Party had an approval rating of 37 back in the day. So don't feel complacent about the Trump administration's dismal approval ratings right now.
So that is something that was held last night. We told you yesterday about the People's State of the Union, some celebrities that was streamed on MoveOn.org. Tonight, outside the U.S. Capitol, some anti-Trump folks are going to have a funeral of sorts.
So does their opinion matter to you? Has it changed your mind about how you feel about the president, these Hollywood elites?
Right. Well, we know the Grammys were off 20%. That
down. They were
down. Yeah, it was off. Yeah, that's slang for down, because it was quicker to say off.
Because people want music,
right?
Politics.
I guess so. They do like to music because we love to dance.
Meanwhile, it's hard to dance right now because it's a little slippery here in Washington, D.C. How do I know that? Janice Dean, the weather machine, joined us. She is here, and she brought a little snow on this.
I'm not going to lie. My hair is not the best today. It's not a great hair day. We've got like a lot of snow and sleet and freezing rain. I had the best time yesterday. I got to see my friends at the State Department. I got to see my friends at the D.C. Bureau, and I got to see my friends at the White House. Are you ready?
We're ready.
Being on the scene. Take a look.
We are here in D.C. Fox and Friends decided to take Janice Dean to D.C. So know what we're going to do first? We're going to go to the D.C. Bureau, knock on some doors, and see who's home. Come with me. First stop, my bestie, Shannon Bream. Hey, how are you? I can't have you not wearing a hat.
I want to show you my studio.
I hear you can make it a dance studio.
Yes. The show is over. We turned the studio literally into a dance party.
Welcome to our Friday night dance party. Whoa! Oh, this is a good song. Woo! There is always something there to remind me. It's Brett Baer here.
Hey, Brett. Janice is here for you.
Brett, why are you so tall?
I am standing on my treadmill desk.
What? Do you actually do this?
This is the first time this has been seen on television.
Tell me what you're working on, a big State of the Union tomorrow?
Yes. So we're working on the show today, and then tomorrow we're going to be at the White House.
What are you going to do after?
Analyze what was said.
Okay.
And then maybe go have a drink.
A drink or two?
Yeah.
We'll meet you at the bar afterwards.
Deal.
Griff. Yeah, Griff! Hi! You're on camera!
This is an ambush here.
Well, didn't they tell you? I'm here to take over D.C.
This is like Mr. Smith goes to Washington, but instead, Janice Dean goes to Washington.
Okay, there's no name on the door here. Oh my gosh, I know that voice. It's
Oh my God, Janice Dean, ladies and gentlemen. Mrs. America.
It's
nice to see you.
Tell me about this desk.
This desk belonged to a series of little remembered but still controversial presidents. The real story is I bought it in a nondescript office building in downtown D.C. many years ago.
Okay.
I saw a notice in the elevator for $100.
Come on in.
Good to see
Oh,
you.
it's great to see you.
Welcome,
too.
welcome.
I love it. This is so
Hey.
official. Is this the book right here?
Yeah,
Are you working on the
yeah,
book? So
yeah.
every time we see you at the State Department in the
Yeah.
briefing room,
Well,
you bring
I can't
this.
show you what's in the
Oh,
book. but
okay, okay.
I can tell you what's in the book. Everything from Afghanistan to Nagorno-Karabakh. You name it. We've got it in there. It's all our U.S. foreign policy. It's such an honor to serve my country, and the people I work with are incredible.
Now,
so
can we-
I miss you guys, but
We take this big book, and can you show us the press briefing room?
Yeah.
I wanted to come in here and see you in action, but unfortunately, they're doing some work in here.
That's right. They are updating our lighting. Maybe it'll be as good as TV lighting now.
Immigration, but also national security will play a huge role.
Oh, are you doing a live shot?
JD.
Oh my gosh! Hi, John Roberts.
How are
you? This is your office?
I love the hat. Yes,
Thank
this is my office here. The illusion that all you see is the White House behind us. You don't see the rest of this stuff. So
I know.
The magic and talent.
I love it. Oh my gosh, we made it to the White House. This is Sarah Sanders' office. Let's talk. I love your office.
Thank you.
I love the artwork from your kids. Do you think it helps that you're a mom when you do these briefings?
I think so. I mean, especially having really young kids. I'm used to answering the same questions over and over again. I have a lot of patience.
Did you see your career going this way?
No, not exactly.
No?
So if you had